Good morning. Welcome to Village in Motion. My name is Susan Gerhardt. Today is Monday, January 5th, 2017. And today we welcome Chandra Kumar, our Executive Director. And today we have a call-in show.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. We have a cold morning. Thank you for getting here today.
Absolutely. As long as it's not sleet or snow, and no matter what, we're like the Postal Service. We make sure we're here.
Well, we're glad you're here and glad the entire team is here. Today we have a call-in show and we welcome your questions this morning. The number for you to call is showing on the screen. I'll read it to you also. 703-663-3333. If you have questions of Chandra, please give us a call. Meanwhile, tell us what updates you have for us today.
So we've got a lot going on. I'm happy to be back. I've been out for about a week, not feeling
sick.
well.
You feeling better?
I am. Thank you. I'm getting through it, and it's been nice to be back and start the new year off. I did have the pleasure of on New Year's Day being manager on duty, so getting around to all the dining
I've heard many people say how happy they were to see you that day.
It was very nice. That's part of the job. That's the best part. So you're not chained to the desk.
Right.
Being able to get out and see our residents, and then to see the staff, and even in the backs of the kitchen and some of the areas that you don't always get to. It's nice to be back there and say Happy New Year. So we've got a lot going on. The employee deck, we've been working on, the contractors have been, and we've just finished it. We're just waiting for the county to come in and approve and make sure that everything's up to their expectations, and then we will be able to then bring our staff back into the community.
So they've had a rough time parking across the road and taking the shuttle bus over there.
They have, and it's interesting because I thought that it was going to be a little bit of inconvenience, and there may have been a little bit of how is this going to work? But it's interesting how it's worked out to be a nice team building camaraderie moment. People are getting to meet people they wouldn't have in their specific areas, and so they're just having fun. It's interesting. We've been taking selfies on the bus, so maybe we can share some of those selfies with the residents, and everybody can see how much fun they're actually having.
Well, that's good.
And so it's actually been it's turned out to be a good bonding moment. But still, we want to have everyone back. It's getting cold.
Yes.
We want to make sure that we can't keep people's cars clean out there. So
and we'll have a stronger, safer garage for them to park in.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll finish the remainder of it when the warmer weather gets around. And so we'll probably do another round of these, and then we're done with the garages.
Good. That's great.
Yes, we're all happy.
And it's just the employee garage that has more work to be done?
Yes.
Okay.
That's it. The resident garages, don't want to start any rumors. They're all good to go.
I had a moment there.
I know. No. They're all good to go, and I think people are appreciating that they're done and right before it got really cold.
Yes.
So
that's good.
we're still working on the window project and the doors.
I hear good things about the new windows.
Oh, good.
Mostly I'm hearing, oh, it's not nearly as bad as I thought it was. I don't know why I got so upset about it. It was all right. They did it quickly. It's okay. Thank you
for that, because it just takes a lot of planning and making sure that the process is followed, and there's so many different components to it that there's always that opportunity that something may not go exactly as we plan. But I think the team has been working really well to try and recover if there is an issue and learn from that and continue to use that. So the practice is getting better and better as we go from apartment to apartment. So please, it should be as painless as possible. I think the only disaster I heard of was that in putting back up a drapery, they needed one more screw, and they showed up first thing the next morning with that screw. Okay. So if that's the biggest disaster we faced, that's nothing. All right. Well, thank you. And I'm hoping everyone will feel that, with the new windows, some people had complained originally of drafts and things, that those issues have been mitigated. So
we have a telephone caller. Good. Caller, let's have your question, please.
Go ahead.
I have two issues that seem to bother me a lot, causes me a lot of stress. The first one is when my family come, they can't find a place to park because residents are parking 24/7 in visitor spots, And the second one is, for years I have put up with a neighbor's dog, and now she has a new dog. We live on the back side of the building. She turns the dog out and lets it just roam without a leash, and trust me, she doesn't pick up. I have discovered that with my foot. And I've talked to her a number of times. I've called her and asked her to come and pick up, and she does and apologizes, but it doesn't change. And I've talked to the social worker. So what else can I do? It seems as though until there are some consequences for this breaking of the rules, so to speak, nothing seems to change. Thank you.
Thank you for your call. Let's first talk about parking, guest parking.
So guest parking is for guests. There's resident parking, as you know, that people pay for. It is challenging because we do have some residents that do park in guest parking and choose either not to park in the available spaces. So for us, what it is that we would, as the security team goes around, to have conversations if we know who the person is and reinforce that. Have we done anything beyond that? No, we have not. And that's something that we would need to talk to the council and have some conversation. Our security team is not set up to be giving out tickets to the residents at this point. We do ticket staff, and then we do have a process that we follow up with the staff if they're parking in the wrong place. But unfortunately, we do not have a system for that specifically for the residents besides having a conversation. And we assume that, when people live, and I think I talk about this at Coffee with the Exec, is that, this is a communal living environment, and we ask that people be respectful. There's ample parking. If you drive around, you will see there is ample parking. It's that we all should be good neighbors.
When a visitor comes through the front gate, are they instructed about the colors of the parking spaces?
Yes, they're given a sheet of paper that has the colors on it, and it has, areas where it's denoted that you can park. And we're not always finding it. Sometimes that's the issue, and sometimes it's residents, and sometimes it's vendors. So those are the vendors we have a little more control over because we know who's coming in and we can have a deeper discussion.
If a vendor comes in and a vendor doesn't have any kind of a sticker or any kind of an identifying paper in the car, how do you identify that vendor to talk with the vendor about the fact that he or she is parking where he or she should not be parking?
They do have to, when they come in, they take their license plate down and they do have it on the sheet that says that they're a visitor. But that doesn't mean that it's always displayed, because I've run in personally myself where you're given the paper to display it and they're not displayed. Yes,
I think we all have noticed that, and that's very frustrating.
Yes, so that is absolutely a challenge. But I think it's, as our caller said, if there's an issue, we should be able to, in the sense of parking, if somebody can bring it to security's attention, that gives us the ability to then go and have a conversation with the person.
Okay.
There are people that have their own vendors in the sense of private duty aids that come in, and they are allowed to park, but they have, if they're coming on a regular basis, they have a designated placard that says they're here on a regular basis.
And is it something that lays on the dash of the car?
They should be laying on the dash, yes.
So they should be, but I think they're not always doing that.
They're not always, yes.
And how do those people know that they're supposed to be registered here?
Those are the conversations that we have when we find out somebody has a potential vendor that's coming in that's going to be working, for example, a private duty aid.
And how do you
register?
How about a private house cleaning person?
That would be an intermittent. That wouldn't be somebody that would be here every day. That would be somebody that would come in as a visitor. But it's somebody that has, for example, I may have care 5 days a week with the same person. Those are the people that we get registered, and they have a little plaque that they wear, for private duty aid. But if it's intermittent and they're just coming in to do housekeeping, or someone needs something fixed, that situation, they don't have anything permanent.
They're more of a visitor, and they should have a visitor
tag
every
so they
time.
come through the visitor lane. They take down the tag number, and
Okay.
they have that information at that point.
Okay, so let's talk about the dog problem. A dog on a leash, without a leash, really concerns me. What action can the resident take? Who should she talk to?
She should actually report that. She's done it. I think she's reported it to social work, but I absolutely feel if you could report it to security, then we could have that conversation, because that is a concern for other residents. Besides the fact that it's, the dog is, if they're leaving remnants behind, it's not getting picked up.
Yes.
But the other concern is that, someone getting, bit, or I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that's
But it
potential.
could.
When it's on leash, you don't have any control.
Right.
So,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. If they could get in touch with security and let them know, who they have a concern with.
I think both of these issues, and I'm glad the caller brought both of them up, I think both of them bring up an ongoing issue that it's important when we have concerns, when we have problems, to not give up bringing the concern up.
Right.
If it's a concern and if it's not being addressed, keep asking the question, go to other resources, go to higher up the chain if you need to until you get an answer and the problem is resolved. A perfect example this weekend, there was an area between Grove Terrace and Town Center where it was cold. It's really cold. It's still cold there this morning. And all weekend, we all spent our time complaining to each other. Well, did you see how cold it was there? Did you feel that? Did any of us do anything about it? Oh, no. We just complained to each other. But we should have done something about it. We should have called General Services and said, there's a cold spot. And I think all of us do this way too often. We complain to each other rather than taking action.
Absolutely. When you have a community, you're talking almost 2.5 million square feet under roof. There are going to be areas that maybe have not, whether you're talking temperature-wise, have not hit where they should. But absolutely, if somebody brings that up, that makes it easier for us to
But that's just one example where, rather than complain to each other, let's call. Let's get on the phone and talk to someone, because you're here to support us.
Absolutely.
And you care.
Thank you. Yes.
We have another caller. Please tell us your question.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Your question, please.
I am wondering if any progress has been made on the postal machines and buying stamps and so forth in the stores. Thank you.
So, my understanding, and I was out sick last week, is that it's up, and I've got a thank you note, so that it's up and running in the town center.
So we have postal machines in the town center stores. If I have a package to mail, I could take it to town center.
Yes.
They can weigh it for me there and issue the stamp to go on it.
Correct.
Are those eventually going to be in the other two stores?
We are going to first see how it works out here and what the demand is before we move forward
And I
with
think
it.
the problem was that the post office was having problem with a whole wall of stamps on a package.
Because we were told they have to stamp each one, and they would be giving us, no longer wanting us to do that at all, because it's just, and this is easier because it's one, they can scan it and it's done with.
So we will have a formal machine, but only in the town center store? Okay. That's a good question.
It is.
Okay. Tell me what other news you have for us today.
So just to give you a little bit of insight, we've had a GI, or a norovirus type of thing, so that's equated to what you tend to find, unfortunately, this time of the year.
Gastrointestinal.
Yes. And so we've restricted visitation to Garden Ridge.
Okay.
We have, knock on wood, we have not had any new cases over the weekend. It is restricted to one unit. And we've set into motion our response process, which includes, additional cleaning of areas, making sure staff is screened.
So you're asking us not to visit people at Garden Ridge?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and that, our Catherine Noble, who's in charge of volunteers, has already sent out notification to the people that are scheduled. But people that are on schedule, we also have signage that's been up since Friday, limiting visitation, and we're actually if you do need to visit, please call. In the sense, some people have loved ones there, so we can do that on a case-by-case basis. But in general, we're restricting people from visiting right now. We just don't want it to.
We don't want to spread it to this side of the bridge.
Right. We have had a handful of very few people that have shown some signs here in independent living, and we've had conversations with them to stay in their apartments. We will provide delivery of meals if needed. So if you are having any signs and symptoms, whether it's the flu or gastrointestinal issues, please let your social worker know, let security know, whichever is easier for you, and we can go ahead and provide support in that sense to make sure that you don't have to come out.
Should I go to the medical center if I have gastrointestinal issues?
I would make an appointment with them, yes.
Okay.
Yes. And they're part of the conversation, so it's really a team effort between all of the services that we have, home support, certified home health, the medical center, and our employee health also. So it's the team together gets together and talks on a regular basis to make sure that we're monitoring if there's any changes in the amount of people that are affected or how people are doing currently, just to make sure that we don't go through having it spread through the entire community.
So just be aware that if you have a stomach upset, it may be something that can be spread to others.
Yes.
And maybe stay away from other people until you're sure that you're feeling better so that you don't spread it to others.
Absolutely.
And as a part of this whole winter health effort, keeping your hands clean.
Yeah, so each of the bathrooms has a reminder, and we put reminders in the cafe to wash your hands, not just with water, but to make sure that they're well lathered with soap and between the fingernails and between the fingers, and they're rinsed. Because sometimes people think if we just rinse like this, that's washing our hands.
You're supposed to sing happy birthday?
Happy birthday, or the alphabet, or row, row, row your boat, whichever makes you happy.
Yep.
Just use that warm water, soap, use the paper towels to open the door and make sure you dispose of the paper towels there. And we have a lot of touch-free doors too, so you can always use your elbow.
That's a very good bit of advice.
Yes,
yeah.
you can always use your elbow, but just make sure that we continue to wash hands. We want to be, cognizant of all the people around us. So I know my team's working on making sure they're wiping down specific things that have a lot of touch points to it.
I've tried to get in the habit of, once I come back in my apartment, of washing my hands the first
Absolutely.
thing when I come in the door, because we pick up so many germs every place we are.
That is 100% one of the best things you can do.
Yeah.
Because no matter how many times the team goes through and wipes down common touch points, you're still bringing it back to your home.
That's right.
And should always wash your hands.
And we don't want to do that.
And it's not just when you're within Green Spring, but when you're going outside to public places. The Northern Virginia area has been seeing an uptick in flu symptoms. And then we haven't even hit our peak. The next month is when you start to see more of the signs
Right.
and symptoms of the flu and GI issues going up. So, public areas too, as you come in, as you go out, as you eat, please wash your hands.
Good advice. We have another caller. Please, caller, tell us your question.
Hello? Oh, wait a minute. I turned off the wrong button. Do I have you?
Yes, please.
I can't hear you.
We can hear you.
Is this Chandra?
I'm right here.
Okay, well, my question, let me see if I can get this. I want to turn off the TV without turning off you.
Okay.
My question, well, I still don't have the phone right. Let me do something else here.
We can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Chandra, I'm sorry. My question is regarding the medical, the pharmacy. Since Peoples has taken over, I really don't notice any big change or improvement. But besides that, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
I can't hear you very well. Okay. Well, I've been living here 16 years, but my prescriptions are mostly filled by Express Scripts. Now, I went to the doctor's the other day, and I guess he ordered a prescription for me, and there was a knock on my door, and I was not aware that I was going to even get a prescription. And, she hands me this package, and it has $100 bill on it. And I says, well, I'm not going to pay for it. So are you aware that this is becoming a problem? Do you know what I'm talking about?
So I'm trying to understand, you had a prescription that you needed.
I can't hear you, and I don't know if it's the phone connection or what.
How about if I get your phone number and then I can contact you afterwards?
I can't hear you.
Can you give us your telephone number?
They have it inside.
Okay. We'll call her back later. I think I know the answer to that. I think perhaps the answer is she mentioned Express Scripts, and I think that is a military insurance that she is using. CVS no longer has a contract with TRICARE and thus Express Scripts. So they're charging her for the prescription.
Yep, so I'll call back.
Yeah.
All right, I'll get the name.
Let me bring up another issue that is, of course, been a hot topic, and that is our shopping cart problem. And I had a hand-in caller here that gave us a suggestion, and that is related to the fact that some of our contractors on campus use these shopping carts also. And there are shopping carts that exist that are small shopping carts that would be too small for a contractor to use. That might be something to look into. They're little half carts. That might be something that would discourage a contractor from taking one of our carts and using it, but would be perfectly usable for residents to use. Might be another thought.
That's a good point. Thank you.
And we still have an ongoing problem, residents, of people taking a shopping cart into their apartment. And just a reminder to all, the shopping carts are for one-time use only. Borrow the shopping cart, take it to your apartment, use it, take whatever you need to take to your apartment, and return it within just a few minutes. It should not stay in your apartment. It should not remain in the hallway. Take it back so others can use it.
Thank you. The other thing that if you have a moment, is just a reminder that with the inclement weather, is that we do have residents that have assigned parking spaces that have signed up for their cars to be cleaned on a subscription basis. So just a reminder that we will be cleaning the cars off, but the first priority absolutely is everyone's safety. So this team works first on making sure the sidewalks, entrance and egresses for emergency purposes is cleaned. Those are the first priorities, and then we go to making sure then we can go back to cleaning off cars. I know that sometimes when it snows, people want their cars cleaned, but there's a limited amount of hands with all of the space that we have to get everything done, even with our contractors. So then the staff will then be able to go back and focus on making sure that those cars are cleaned. And if you'd like to, you can still contact General Services. I know you have that
to sign up for that.
To sign up for that.
To have your car cleaned off.
To have your car cleaned off, absolutely.
And I think it's important in this cold weather to remember that sometimes we take a shortcut outside between buildings, but when it's slippery, either allow yourself enough time to walk in between buildings or take a shuttle bus between buildings.
Absolutely.
Don't take a chance with a slippery sidewalk.
Absolutely. I see people outside with their pets, and I'm always afraid of them slipping.
Yes.
The dog's got better footing, or
That's
so
right. Sometimes
please make sure that you're safe.
Sometimes we put better footing on our pets' feet than we do on our own feet.
So yes, absolutely.
For sure.
Please make sure.
Yes. What other updates do you have?
Just excited that we have and Dr. Thomas is we had hired as a contracted physician, and she has accepted.
Wonderful.
And is staying on. It was a nice opportunity for her to see.
Good.
And get to know our community and residents, and for us to get to know her.
Good.
And so we're still continuing to look for a medical director.
Good.
And also an additional nurse practitioner. We do have one nurse practitioner that started with us about 2 months ago. Been very happy. Stephanie's been a really good addition to Garden Ridge, and she works on both sides of the campus. It's been really nice to also announce that G, everybody knows him by G.
Yes.
Is our new general manager in Fireside in the cafe. And he's really kind of grown up here at Green
Those of us who
Spring.
eat there are thrilled to have him.
Yes, so I'm really happy for him, and I'm really happy for all of us here at Green
He will be
Spring.
very good.
He is,
Yes.
he is. So, we're really excited to have him in that role.
Speaking of dining services, I know we have had lots of calls asking for when we're going to have town hall meetings for those. And the first of those meetings is today from 11 to 12 in the Jefferson dining room. That's for people who regularly eat in the Jefferson and in the bistro. On the 19th of this month, there will be a Woodland Skies town hall meeting, and that is at the Woodland Skies restaurant between 10 and 11 a.m. And on the 26th, it will be the turn of the Fireside Potomac Cafe residents, those who regularly eat there, and that will be in the Fireside restaurant again between 10 and 11 a.m. So those things are coming up. Also, this is an important one. This week on the 13th, it's Hot Chocolate Day. Now you have to schedule this. If you want your hot chocolate in Town Center, it's between 1 and 2. In Village Square between 11 and 12, and in Hunter's Crossing between 3 and 4. If you want to get exercise, you could schedule that so you can get hot chocolate in all three. And coming up on the 20th, it's National Popcorn Day. We're in good shape. We have one more minute. What else would you like to add?
Well, I have to remember to sign up for Hot Chocolate Day.
Yeah,
Definitely,
right. That's
absolutely
scheduled
could
now. Be
use it
careful.
Today.
Right.
Could use it today. No, it's just, I know there's a lot of excitement from the residents wanting to be part of the dining town hall meetings. Ty, who is our dining director, and Corey and his team have been working to make quite a few modifications in the cafe, and so it'll be good to be able to have them be there and have those conversations. Please come out and join. I know when we had coffee with the exec, there was a request for takeout, and so those conversations can also happen at these venues, and that opportunity is there to have that dialogue.
I think it will be a good give and take.
I am absolutely sure it will be.
Yes, right. All right. Thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you.